The security guard grabbed Marcus Williams by the arm. "Sir, you need to leave now." Marcus pulled away gently. "I'm just trying to check in." The woman behind the desk laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. "Check in? Look at yourself first. Have you ever been judged by how you look before anyone knew who you really were?" Marcus stood in the marble lobby of the Grand Palace Hotel. His old jacket was wet from the rain outside. His shoes had seen better days, but his eyes stayed calm. "Very calm. Ma'am, I have a reservation," Marcus said quietly. The desk clerk rolled her eyes. Her name tag said Jessica. She had perfectly styled hair and a mean smile. "Sure you do, honey. What's the name?" Jessica asked. She didn't even look at her computer. "Williams. Marcus Williams." Jessica typed something quickly. "Nothing here." Big surprise, other guests started watching. A man in a business suit put down his coffee. A woman with her daughter stopped walking. Everyone stared. "Check again, please," Marcus said. His voice never got louder. Jessica sighed like he was wasting her time. "Listen, there's a motel down the street. It's more your style." The security guard stepped closer. His badge said Mike. He was big and looked angry. "Sir, the lady asked you to leave. Don't make this hard." Marcus reached into his jacket pocket slowly. Jessica jumped back. "He's reaching for something." Mike's hand went to his radio. "Sir, hands where I can see them." "I'm getting my phone," Marcus said calmly. "To show you my booking." He pulled out an old phone with a cracked screen. Jessica laughed again. "Of course. Let me guess, you're somebody important?" A teenage girl near the elevator started recording with her phone. Her mom tried to stop her, but she kept filming. "Other people took out their phones, too." "This is crazy," someone whispered. "He's just trying to check in." Jessica heard this and got madder. "Excuse me, but we have standards here. This is a 5-star hotel, not a homeless shelter." The words hit Marcus like a punch, but his face didn't change. He scrolled through his phone with steady fingers. "Here's my confirmation email." Jessica didn't even look. "Anyone can fake emails. Mike, call the police. This is trespassing." The security guard reached for his radio again. "Wait," said the man with the coffee. "Maybe just check his reservation. This seems wrong." Jessica turned on him fast. "Sir, with respect, you don't know what we deal with. People like this come in here all the time." "People like what?" the coffee man asked. Jessica's face went red. She couldn't say what she really meant. Not with all these phones recording. Marcus put his phone away. "I understand you're busy. Could I speak to your manager?" Jessica's laugh was sharp and cruel. "Mr. Johnson doesn't waste time with people like you." The girl recording spoke to her phone. "This is insane, you guys. They won't even check his reservation." Her live stream had 50 people watching now. Mike pressed his radio button. "Front desk to security. Need backup in the lobby. We have a situation." His voice echoed through the marble space. Marcus checked his watch. It was expensive, but Jessica didn't notice. She was too busy being angry. "Look, just leave quietly and nobody gets hurt," she said. "Hurt?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "I haven't threatened anyone. I just want to check into my room." His calm voice made Jessica even madder. Why wouldn't he get upset? Why wouldn't he just leave? More people gathered around. The lobby got quieter. Even the music seemed to stop. Everyone watched the man in the old jacket face off against the hotel staff. "Final warning," Mike said. "Leave now or we call the cops." Marcus nodded slowly. "I understand your position, but I'd like to try one more thing first." He pulled out his phone again. This time, Jessica didn't jump. She just rolled her eyes. "Another fake call? Let me guess, your lawyer?" Marcus scrolled through his contacts. His finger stopped on one name. The name that would change everything. But nobody could see the screen. Nobody knew what was coming. "Actually," Marcus said softly, "I'm calling the owner." Jessica's laugh filled the lobby. "The owner? Oh, this is rich. What's next? You're calling the president?" Other staff members came over to watch. They all thought it was funny. Marcus pressed the number and put the phone to his ear. The teenage girl zoomed in with her camera. Her live stream had 200 people watching now. "This is Marcus," he said into the phone. "I'm in the lobby of the Grand Palace Hotel and I need you down here right now." His voice was different now, stronger, more serious. Jessica kept laughing, but it sounded forced. "He's really doing it. He's pretending to call the owner. This is the best scam I've ever seen." The phone conversation continued. "Yes, I'm sure. Your front desk manager just refused to check my reservation and called security. They want to arrest me for trying to book a room. Mike looked confused now. The man seemed too calm for someone making a fake call, and his voice had authority in it. Real authority. 5 minutes, Marcus said into the phone. Yes, I'll wait. He hung up and put the phone back in his pocket. Well? Jessica asked with a smirk. Is the owner coming? Should we roll out the red carpet? The other staff members laughed. But it wasn't as loud as before. An older couple walked by and stopped. What's happening here? The woman asked. Jessica turned to them like a performer on stage. This man is trying to scam his way into our hotel. Claims he knows the owner. It's pathetic, really. The older woman frowned. He looks harmless enough. Maybe just check his reservation? Ma'am, we have procedures, Mike said. We can't let just anyone walk in here. The woman's husband nodded. Fair enough. But calling the police seems extreme. The girl with the camera was still streaming. 300 people watching now, guys. This is getting crazy. The man called someone and now we wait. Marcus stood perfectly still in the center of the lobby. People walked around him like he was a statue. His old clothes looked out of place among the marble and gold decorations. You know what I think? Jessica said loudly. I think he's waiting for his partner to call and pretend to be the owner. It's a two-person con? She sounded confident, but her eyes kept darting to the elevators. A businessman near the bar spoke up. I've seen this hotel's owner on the news. Big charity events and stuff. He's a black man, actually. Jessica's face went pale for a second, but she recovered quickly. Anyone can claim to be anyone on the phone, she said, but her voice wasn't as steady now. Mike shifted his weight from foot to foot. Something felt off. Marcus checked his watch again. The light caught the expensive metal. A woman near the gift shop noticed it. That's a nice watch, she said to her friend. Costs more than my car. The friend looked closer. You're right. That's not a fake. Word spread quietly through the crowd. People started noticing other details. The quality of Marcus's jacket, even though it was old. The way he carried himself. Maybe we should wait, Mike said quietly to Jessica. If he really did call someone, Jessica cut him off. He didn't call anyone important. Trust me, but doubt was creeping in. The lobby felt tense now. Everyone waited. The girl's live stream hit 500 viewers. Comments poured in faster than she could read them. This doesn't feel right, someone typed. Hotel staff acting crazy. Another comment said, that watch is real. I sell them. Marcus pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and wiped his forehead. For just a moment, something gold flashed. A credit card. The businessman at the bar saw it clearly. Was that a Black American Express card? He asked his companion quietly. Those are invitation only. You can't even apply for them. His friend's eyes went wide. Jessica was pacing now behind the desk. She kept looking at the elevators. Where are the police? Mike, call them again. But Mike was staring at Marcus with new eyes. Ma'am, maybe we should wait to see who comes down, he said. Jessica spun around. Are you serious? You're buying into this act? The elevator dinged. Everyone's head turned. The doors opened slowly, and out stepped a man in an expensive suit. He looked around the lobby with sharp eyes until he found Marcus. Oh no, Jessica whispered. Her face went completely white. The man in the suit walked straight toward them, and everyone could see the anger in his face. The man in the suit walked fast across the marble floor. His shoes clicked with each step. Mr. Williams, he called out. I came as soon as I got your call. Jessica's mouth fell open. Mike took a step back. The entire lobby went silent. Even the background music seemed to stop. Thank you for coming, Robert, Marcus said calmly. The man in the suit was Robert Johnson, the hotel manager. Everyone knew his face from the photos in the lobby. Sir, what exactly happened here? Robert asked. His voice was tight with worry. Marcus looked around at all the faces watching him. Your desk clerk refused to check my reservation. She called me a scammer and had security threaten to arrest me, all because of how I look. Marcus's voice was still calm, but there was power in it now. Robert turned to Jessica with fire in his eyes. Is this true? Jessica stammered. He didn't look like... we have to be careful. Careful of what? Robert's voice got louder. Jessica couldn't answer. She just stood there shaking. The girl with the camera was breathing hard. 800 people watching now, she whispered to her phone. This is insane. Marcus reached into his jacket again. This time, nobody panicked. He pulled out a leather wallet and took out a business card. He handed it to Robert. Robert looked at the card and his face went gray. He read it out loud. Marcus Williams, Chief Executive Officer, Williams Hotel Group. The lobby erupted in gasps and whispers. That's impossible, Jessica breathed. Marcus smiled for the first time. It wasn't a mean smile. It was sad. I own this hotel, Jessica. I own all 37 Williams hotels across the country, including this one. His words hit like exploding bombs. People started talking at once. The businessman spilled his coffee. The older couple stared in shock. The girl filming almost dropped her phone. You're lying, Jessica said, but her voice was barely a whisper. Marcus pulled out his phone and showed the screen to Robert. Call the corporate office. Ask them to confirm my identity. Robert didn't need to make the call. He knew. His hands shook as he looked at the business card again. Mr. Williams, I am so deeply sorry. I had no idea you were visiting today. That's the point, Robert. I visit my hotels unannounced to see how guests are really treated. And now I know? Marcus's voice was quiet, but everyone heard every word. Jessica started crying. Not pretty tears, but ugly, scared crying. She knew her job was over. Maybe her whole career. I have children, she sobbed. Please, I made a mistake. I'm quiet, sorry. Marcus looked at her with those same calm eyes. You made many mistakes, Jessica. You judged me by my clothes. You refused to check my reservation. You called me a scammer. You had security threaten me, all while guests watched and recorded. Mike was sweating now. His radio crackled, but he ignored it. Marcus turned to him. And you, Mike? You were ready to arrest a paying customer without checking anything, based only on what your eyes told you. The live stream had over 1,000 viewers now. Comments flew by too fast to read. News outlets were starting to pick up the story. Marcus addressed the whole lobby. Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed something important. You saw how people with power treat others when they think nobody important is watching. Robert tried to speak. Sir, this is highly unusual. These are good employees who just... Marcus held up his hand. Robert, stop talking immediately. Good employees? Robert, I've been here for 30 minutes. In that time, your staff insulted me, threatened me, and tried to have me arrested. All because I don't look like their idea of wealth. Jessica's crying got louder. Other staff members started backing away. They didn't want to be associated with this disaster. Marcus walked to the center of the lobby. Everyone could see him clearly now. I built this company from nothing. Started with one small motel 20 years ago. I know what it's like to be judged by your appearance. His voice carried to every corner of the space. I also know that true hospitality means treating every person with respect. Rich or poor, black or white, well-dressed or not. The businessman who had defended Marcus earlier stepped forward. Sir, I want to apologize for not speaking up more. This was wrong. Marcus nodded to him with respect. Thank you. But the real question is what happens next? Marcus turned back to Jessica and Mike. His calm face showed no mercy now. You're both fired. Effective immediately. The words dropped like stones in the quiet lobby. By the time Marcus got home that evening, his phone was buzzing nonstop with notifications. Videos of the confrontation were spreading through social media faster than gossip in the hallways. Students who hadn't even been at the fight were sharing the footage, commenting, and discussing what it meant for Jefferson High. Marcus set his phone aside and focused on his homework, but his grandmother noticed something was different. Marcus, baby, you seem troubled tonight, she said, bringing him a glass of milk and sitting down beside him at the kitchen table. Marcus told her everything about Tyler's bullying, the challenge at the basketball court, and the threats against their family. His grandmother listened quietly, her wise eyes never leaving his face. Your grandfather would be proud of you, she said finally. You didn't start trouble, but you didn't run from it either. And most importantly, you kept your heart right through all of it. But Tyler said his father might try to hurt us, Marcus worried. What if they really can make us move? His grandmother smiled and patted his hand. Baby, I've been dealing with bullies a lot longer than you have. Rich folks who think money makes them better than everyone else aren't new to me. But you know what I've learned? Bullies are most dangerous when people are afraid to stand up to them. Once someone shows courage, others find their courage too. She was right. All over town, parents were getting calls from their children about what happened at school. Videos were being shared in family group chats. Social media pages were filled with discussions about Tyler Brooks and his family's behavior. The next morning at Jefferson High, everything felt different. Marcus walked through the front doors expecting trouble, but instead of hostile stares, he got nods of respect from students he had never spoken to. In the hallways, conversations stopped when Tyler walked by, but not out of fear anymore. Students were whispering about his meltdown at the basketball court. In first period English, Mrs. Peterson seemed more confident than usual. When Tyler tried to make one of his usual smart aleck comments, she cut him off sharply. "Tyler, if you have something constructive to add to our discussion about courage in literature, please share it. Otherwise, please listen while others speak." Tyler's face turned red, but he didn't argue back. Several students exchanged glances, surprised by their teacher's new boldness. At lunch, something unprecedented happened. Marcus was sitting at his usual corner table when Sarah Martinez approached with her lunch tray. "Mind if I sit here?" she asked. "Of course," Marcus replied, genuinely happy to have company. Within minutes, Ashley joined them, then two other students who had been Tyler's victims in the past. For the first time in years, students at Jefferson High were sitting together based on friendship instead of fear. Across the cafeteria, Tyler sat with Jake and Danny, but their table was noticeably quieter than usual. Other students weren't gathering around to hear Tyler's stories or laugh at his jokes. Even his girlfriend was sitting with her own friends instead of hanging on his every word. But Tyler wasn't finished yet. During fifth period, Marcus was called to the principal's office. Principal Johnson sat behind his desk looking uncomfortable, with a well-dressed man in an expensive suit sitting across from him. "Marcus, this is Mr. Richard Brooks, Tyler's father," Principal Johnson said nervously. "He wanted to speak with you about yesterday's incident." Mr. Brooks looked Marcus up and down like he was examining a bug. "Son, I understand you had some kind of altercation with my boy Tyler yesterday." "Yes, sir," Marcus replied calmly. "Tyler challenged me to a fight, and I defended myself." "Well, that's not exactly how Tyler tells it," Mr. Brooks said with a cold smile. "He says you started trouble and used some kind of martial arts to hurt him and his friends." "That sounds like assault to me." Principal Johnson shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Marcus could see that the principal wanted to do the right thing, but was afraid of Mr. Brooks's power and money. "Mr. Brooks," Marcus said respectfully, "I have witnesses and video evidence that shows Tyler threw the first punch. I only defended myself and I never struck anyone. I used defensive moves to avoid being hurt." Mr. Brooks's face darkened. "Don't you get smart with me, boy. I don't care what kind of videos you think you have. In this town, my family's word carries more weight than some nobody from the wrong side of the tracks." That's when Principal Johnson's secretary knocked on the door and entered with a worried expression. "Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are several parents here who insist on speaking with you immediately about yesterday's incident." Through the office window, Marcus could see Sarah Martinez's mother, Ashley's father, and at least 6 other parents waiting in the outer office. They all had their phones out, and they looked determined rather than intimidated. "What are they doing here?" Mr. Brooks demanded. Principal Johnson stood up slowly. "I think we better find out." The group moved to the larger conference room where the parents were already seated around the table. Marcus recognized Sarah's mother as she stood up and addressed Mr. Brooks directly. "Mr. Brooks, we've all seen the videos our children took yesterday. We've heard your son's threats against this young man's family, and we've decided that enough is enough." Ashley's father nodded and pulled out his phone. "Mr. Brooks, your son threatened to use your business connections to force this boy's family out of their home. That's not schoolyard fighting. That's harassment and intimidation." One by one, the parents shared what their children had told them about Tyler's behavior over the years. Stories of bullying, threats, and abuse that had gone unreported because families were afraid of the Brooks family's retaliation. Mr. Brooks tried to interrupt several times, but the parents kept speaking. They had found their courage together, just like Marcus's grandmother had predicted. Furthermore, Sarah's mother continued, we've already contacted the school board, the local newspaper, and the district attorney's office. This pattern of behavior ends now. Principal Johnson looked relieved for the first time in years. Mr. Brooks, in light of this new information, I think we need to have a serious discussion about Tyler's behavior and his future at Jefferson High. Mr. Brooks's face was pale with anger, but he couldn't argue with a room full of determined parents and clear video evidence. This isn't over, he muttered as he stood to leave. Actually, it is, said Ashley's father. We're not afraid of you anymore. Over the next week, changes came quickly to Jefferson High. The school board launched an investigation into Tyler's behavior and his father's interference in school policies. The local newspaper ran a story about bullying and family influence in schools, using Jefferson High as an example without naming specific students. Tyler himself seemed to shrink before everyone's eyes. Without his aura of untouchable power, he was just another student trying to get through high school. Jake and Danny stopped following him around, and his girlfriend started dating someone from another school. Most importantly, the culture of fear that had dominated Jefferson High began to fade. Students spoke up more in class, reported bullying when they saw it, and started forming friendships based on shared interests instead of social hierarchies. Marcus continued to sit by the window in English class, but now his table in the cafeteria was full of friends. Sarah, Ashley, and several other students had formed a close group that looked out for each other and welcomed new students with kindness. 1 month later, Mrs. Peterson assigned a project about heroes in real life. When it was Marcus's turn to present, he stood up and looked around the classroom. I learned something important this month, he said. Heroes aren't people with superpowers or special abilities. Heroes are ordinary people who decide to do the right thing even when it's scary or difficult. Everyone in this room has the ability to be a hero just by standing up for what's right and protecting people who need help. The class applauded, and even Tyler, who had been quiet for weeks, gave a small nod of understanding. After school that day, Marcus called his grandmother to tell her about his presentation. That sounds wonderful, baby, she said. Your grandfather always said the best victories aren't about beating someone else. They're about making things better for everyone. As Marcus walked home through the tree-lined streets of his neighborhood, he reflected on how much had changed since that first day at Jefferson High. He hadn't set out to be a hero or to change his school. He had simply refused to be intimidated and stood up for what was right. The most surprising change was in Tyler himself. Without his reputation as the school bully, Tyler had been forced to discover who he really was underneath all that anger and entitlement. It turned out that without his father's pressure and his friends' expectations, Tyler was just a confused teenager trying to figure out his place in the world.